Welcome back to the City Ramble with me, Amos Murphy, today. Matt Kerr joining us for the YouTube debut. Matt, you're a regular City Ramble contributor. Those who listen to the podcast during the season will know that. But look, they get to see our lovely faces now, so I'm glad. I'm glad it's just not me, my ugly face, sort of staring down the listeners. We've brought in a pretty face to join us for this one. How are you doing?
Thank you very much, Amos. I'll take that. I was going to say a face that they probably don't want to see, but I'll take that. No, I'm doing well. The sun's just about coming out. We've had a pretty grey July, but yeah, things are looking up. The season's around the corner. Very exciting.
It is. Yeah, I mean, it's come around quick. We did a video, Adam Booker and I, earlier in this week, and we basically answering questions from the viewers and the people on Discord. So another shout, if you're not already, make sure to be getting in the Discord channel. But we were saying, like, we had this big break that we speak about, 6 weeks from the Club World Cup or something like that, in between City going out and the season starting. It's come around quick. We're about, by the time this goes out, 2 weeks away from the Premier League season starting. I think the lads they've got a pre-season friendly next weekend. I think it is against Palermo.
Palermo one, yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, it's here. It's down to business.
Yeah. We're here. It's honestly, it doesn't feel that long ago we were at Wembley at that very disappointing FA Cup final, and you blink, you have the Club World Cup, and you blink one more time, and we're back where we started. But you've got to love it as football fans. It's what we want. We want to be watching football. Want to be watching our team. So. And thank God no Community Shield as well this year. Gotta get that in there.
yeah, thank God for that. So today's video is a little bit different. We've obviously done loads of stuff on the channel about transfers, about sort of how City are going to be setting up as the next couple of weeks go along. Obviously pre-season friendly and whatnot, training's back up and running. We'll be previewing the season plenty. We're just taking a bit of a stopgap from that, and we're looking ahead. In fact, we're looking very far into the future, to the summer of 2028, in fact, where we're going to predict how City's team might look now and look then. Sorry, and now look. I think it's worth doing a couple of caveats. This is purely hypothetical. We are not suggesting any of this will necessarily happen as a guarantee, but we'll work through the squad. We'll first of all go through who we don't think is going to be here, the big names that could potentially be on the way out, or maybe some names that people will be hoping will be on the way out over the next couple of years. We might even speak about the manager as well. Matt, I think it's easier to get the outgoings done sooner rather than later, because it sort of clears the slate. And like I said, we don't know. Something might change. Someone might leave. Someone might become the next world beater that we don't necessarily have on our radar just yet. But of the sort of the names that you can't see being at City at the start of the 28-29 season, who are you going for?
So straight up, I'm going Edison. I mean, I think a lot of people are expecting him to go next summer. I've got Akanji, Stones, and Ake in the mix as well. Their contracts all expired. I think Stones 26, the rest 27. And then I've got Bernardo Silva, of course, next summer will most likely move on, and Gundogan and Kovacic. They're nailed on.
The Unks have gone.
Won't be there.
They've gone. The unction is over.
They've gone. And I've also put in that mix. A lot of people are going to hate me for saying this, but I think Oscar Bob.
Nice. Well, not nice. Sorry, no. I don't. No. Slip of the tongue there. I don't mean nice. I was saying, like that's a big shout.
Yeah.
God, ignore me.
But my biggest shout's probably Marmoush.
Ooh.
Yeah. I just think when I was looking at all the contracts, and you're seeing how big Haaland's one is, and I know Marmoush isn't just an out-and-out striker, but can I see him basically being back up to him and being squeezed in around the 11 for that long?
How old would he be then? He's 26 now.
So he'll be 29 then. So obviously, probably the prime years of his life, and I don't know. I can just see maybe one last move there in Europe.
Can you see City cash it? Because they paid a decent amount, didn't they? It was like 69 million, I think, all in all. I mean, it isn't necessarily the same as Alvarez, because obviously City made an enormous amount of profit. But I can see the logic where you're coming from, in the sense that he was brought in to make an immediate impact. City obviously needed support for Haaland, and I actually think he's going to have a great season. But it doesn't reek of a 6-7 years sort of. Maybe he does. I don't know. I can see where you're coming from there, though.
Yeah, to me, it's very, very short term. I mean, I absolutely love Marmoush as well, and like you just said, I think he's going to have a very big year. But I think he'll want to be the main guy like he was at Frankfurt, and I don't think
Yeah.
he's ever going to be that at City. And I wouldn't blame him by that point. Hopefully he's, scored God knows how many goals and how many titles he's lifted. But he's my rogue one who's probably going to be gone by then, or that summer.
Couple of names. The juicy part is who we think will still be in the squad. So maybe this is foreshadowing a little bit, but a couple of the youngsters, Nico and Rico. Any room for them, or have they been shipped off as well?
I'm keeping Rico because I feel like I'm backing him to have a decent season this season. But
Okay.
I think a lot depends on that. If he has
last chance saloon sort of thing.
a little bit, I think if he has a difficult year this year like he did last year, I think it might be see you later, pal. But obviously Nico O'Reilly's looking like he's going to sign a new deal, so I think that's got to say something there. But of course we've got a lot of midfield players, and he's not a long-term left back, is he? So I don't know, but I've got O'Reilly sticking around in the squad in some shape. But he might get fidgety on the bench as well. So it's hard to predict. But I've got O'Reilly sticking around, and so's Rico.
Yeah. Calvin Phillips.
He's long gone, mate. He's long gone.
I won't be surprised. I mean, he'd probably be out of contract by then, but I won't be surprised if he's sort of starting his next loan at Norwich or something like that. Bless him. Okay, then let's get into the juicy part then. Obviously, we're predicting City's squad ahead of what we think might be the case ahead of the 28-29 season. I mean, City have just bagged a new number one who everyone's predicting could be City's goalkeeper for the next 10 years. So I imagine you've got Marcus Bettinelli between the sticks.
Of course. Trafford's waiting very eagerly on the bench. He's been very patient for me. So I've got Trafford number one, obviously. I think that's a no-brainer. I think a lot of people, he's going to probably have to bide his time this first season while Ederson's sticking around. Don't get me wrong, if Ederson drops a few clangers, I think he's going to be straight into the side. But I think this will be his 1 year of waiting, and then
we could do predicting next season, not the season coming up, like in a year's time. And I reckon most people, if not everyone, would have James Trafford number one. Yeah,
I would expect that to be the case, and a lot of people as well saying he's probably England's future number one as well. And if he's playing for Manchester City regularly, he's well in for that shout, isn't he?
Absolutely.
So Trafford definitely.
It's hard unless you've got any sort of real sort of ballsy shouts. It's hard to predict who might be, like second choice goalkeeper. I've got a potential one, and I mean this is like the chance of this happening is like 0.0%, but Anthony Patterson at Sunderland, I think he's like 25, 26, and he kind of reeks of maybe in the future being a backup goalkeeper. He's English. I think he's going to be having a season in the Premier League this year. So maybe, but I don't think we'll spend much time trying to predict backup goalkeepers. The defence is interesting because on a video we did on this channel earlier in the summer, we spoke about how lots of people were speaking about certain parts of the squad that need surgery, like right back, midfield, etc., maybe the wings. I propose the fact that actually I think City have got a really big problem at centre-half, because you look at their options there now. There's lots of them, obviously just rapidly. Ruben Diaz, Kusanov, Josko Gvardiol, John Stones, Nathan Ake, Manuel Akanji, Vita Heiss. I think that's all of them. I think it's 7 in total. But you look at some of them, John Stones, Nathan Ake, Akanji, all, I think, over 30 years old, or at least approaching that way. Yeah. Possibly not going to spend the next 2 seasons at the club. I think City, at least next summer, maybe even the summer after that, will have to start bringing in some new centre-halves.
Yeah, and not... As much as I love the signs of Vitor Rice and Kusanov, I think there'll be signings that are for the now and not for the long-term view. One name I was playing with, but I think it very much depends on whether he goes to Liverpool's Mark Gay.
Nice.
I would really, really like to see him at City, and I think he's such a solid option. And he's I think he's 24, so of course very good age as well. And another one was Jared Branthwaite, the Everton defender, who's a lot long. I think City have been interested for quite a long time already, and I think a couple more seasons at Everton. I think he's recently signed that long-term deal.
That reeks of release clause, by the way, doesn't it?
It does. Yeah,
I think his contract was up. Yeah, no, it won't be cheap at all. But it reeks of if a Premier League team comes knocking, 80 million quid or something like that, which is, absurd amount of money when you consider sort of what you'd be getting. But I think that's just the way of the market. I had Branthwaite down on my list. I think Matt Gay's an interesting one because of all, everyone's loving the Liverpool transfers, but I've made the comment on a different video, I think, but at the back of my mind I'm thinking, yeah, the shiny new toys at the front of the pitch are nice, but you look at the defence right now, I'm talking, not even in a couple of years' time, it's a bit shaky. You've got Van Dijk, who's well over the age of 30. You've got Konate, who could be leaving on a free transfer next summer. Then you've got, I think it's Joe Gomez, who can't stay fit for longer than 15 minutes. And I think after that, you're down to I don't even know who they'd be playing after that. So it'll be interesting to see if they go after Gay this summer. If they don't, I think you might be into something next maybe next summer, and then obviously you'd assume he'd be there at City in 2028.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, like you're talking about Liverpool centre backs there. Konate, he's still oohing and ahhing whether he's even going to sign that contract. So you've got a guy who's kind of thinking, I won't be here next year. You've got Joe Gomez, who's a part-timer. And then you just got Van Dijk, who's on his own. So I really do think that's a real weak spot for Liverpool that, like you say, not a lot of people are talking about. And I think Gahey would be a perfect option for them. Long-term, homegrown quota, ticks every box you need it to tick. So, if that doesn't happen this summer, maybe that's an opportunity for City next summer.
Yeah. I reckon in terms of other potential options, because like I say, centre-back, for me, is a bit of an issue that City needs to be looking towards in the next sort of 12 months. I think Ousmane Diomande at Sporting, obviously Hugo Viana will know very well, and if United don't get in there first with Ruben Amorim, I think City... Well, if Ruben Amorim's still at the club to get in there at Man United next summer or whenever it might be, but I feel like he's got a big move in him. I know Arsenal have been linked, and I think he might be similar age to Branthwaite, maybe just a little bit younger. It's annoying that Jorel Hato has just gone to Chelsea because he is literally a Nathan Ake regen.
Yeah, I was about to say that.
Yeah, it feels like City have possibly going to miss out and regret that one. I think there are a lot of clubs in Europe, when you look at the fee, 35 million or something like that, it's madness. Yeah. But in terms of other ones, I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, for centre-half.
I think you've got a good shout there with them too.
Yeah, I think that's a solid group, So I've got here, Vardiol will be 27, Kusanov 24, Vitor Rice will be 22. Branthwaite, I've not got his age, but I imagine he'd be
he's
mid to early
22,
20s.
Maybe 23, something like that.
Yeah, so 24, 25. I think that's a solid group there, and I'm sure we'll get onto the fullbacks, but you could have Branthwaite playing centre half and Vardiol pushing out to the left. You know what I mean? There's there's an option with that as well. So yeah, but on fullbacks, I've still got Ait Nouri. I don't know what you think about
I hope
that.
so. I think it'd be a bit of an issue if you're 20. I think he's 22, isn't he? If your 22-year-old new fullback's already sodded off in 3 years' time. He's 24. He turned 24 this summer, so 27. So you'd hope so at 27. Yeah. He'd still be there.
Yeah, and hopefully he's come on leaps and bounds as well.
And
could be one of the best left backs in the Premier League if he isn't already. Actually,
I think he will be this. I think one of my is less hot takes, but I think medium source takes is that Ait Nouri will be in the team this season. I think it's going to be Ming. I think it's going to be absolutely mega for City.
Yeah, I think so as well. I mean, he was the first name on my FPL team, because I think he's going to get so many assists and stuff. So yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing him, and hopefully he's going to still be there then. And right back, obviously, that's a big talking point even this summer. But I've still, like I said before, I've still got Rico Lewis's name, but I think City will go back in for a Livramento or even Wesley.
I think they're going to have to, aren't they? Yeah, absolutely.
They both seem pretty... Go on, sorry.
No, I was going to say on Livramento, I mean, I think there's, maybe a less than 5% chance we see some movement in that this summer, although would be very surprised at this point, given the briefings about, City being done in the market. And I don't think it's the end of the world in terms of this season, but I think just looking at Newcastle, the way they're trending, unless they go out and get Champions League football again and can almost prove that they're challenging in a certain way, scraping top 4 or top 5 might not even be enough. They might need to go and, either win the League Cup again or have a deep run in the FA Cup, get to the final there. I think some of their top talents could be readily available for grabs because they just don't seem to be sort of like when. And I know the PSR regulations, FFP, have made it really hard for them, but when City were sort of at that point in their project, it just felt like, they were going to take on the world. Whereas Newcastle, Isaacs don't even want to train with them, and he's the big talisman. So I think City could definitely get Livramento away from Newcastle.
Yeah, 100%. And as we've spoken about before, he's a great option both on the right, on the left, going forward defensively. He's young, he's English. Once again, ticks all the boxes. Hopefully he'll be a City player. Like you say, I don't think it'll be this summer at all. I think that is City's business done now. But who knows? If Newcastle carry on the way they are, no one wanting to turn up to training. It does feel like they've kind of reached their ceiling. And like you say, when we were in their position, we were ready to take on anyone, and they've kind of they're
definitely plateaued. It'll be interesting
Definitely.
to see if they can sort of pick it back up again, but it doesn't look promising for them.
No, not at all. Should we move on to midfield?
Go for it. I mean, at the moment, what we're looking at in terms of central midfield anyway, obviously you mentioned Bernardo Silva. He's gone skis by this point. Tajani Reinders, he's just turned 27, so he'll be approaching Unk status then, which is funny because I saw some people on the happy birthday post, someone it said like City Extra, happy 27th birthday, people saying, oh my, he's already an Unk.
I know.
And I mean, I just feel like, that was a absurd shout. Nico Gonzalez, he'll be approaching hopefully prime. What did we say? Kovacic and Gundogan, they're gone. Obviously, you've got Phil Foden there. Ryan Shirky can play a little bit more advanced. I think let's start with Rodri because that's an interesting one, isn't it? We're talking about a big contract that he's about to sign, one of the biggest players, one of the biggest earners. By that point, I think he'll be 32 or 33.
I've got 32 here, yeah.
Do you still think he's in the squad? And if so, do you think he's, making that playing most of the minutes like he is at the moment?
Maybe not being as relied upon as he is now, or as we're hoping him to be when he comes back from his injury and starts this season. Is he going to be Ballon d'Or Rodri level? I don't think so at 32. I think, your legs are going to go at some point, and that might be the age where it slowly starts to. But, you've seen players like Sergio Busquets. He played Barcelona till he was in his mid-30s. Obviously, I don't know his age now, but he's obviously at Inter Miami. But I do think Rodri is smart enough to be able to play a lot longer than a lot of the players around him. But maybe having Nico Gonzalez there, maybe it'd be more of a double pivot system, not just him relied upon on his own, to cover all that ground. But for me, I've even put a little C next to Rodri. He's our captain.
Skipper. Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Skipper Rodri.
I was going to ask you actually about this, the captaincy, because I think by that point, obviously Bernardo Silva, we're probably going to have a new captain again next season. And I think it probably will either be Rodri or Ruben Diaz by that point. I was wondering, I wonder if there's any captaincy role for Phil Foden in there. Will he sort of, step out, come of age? And I know he's obviously 25 and he's still got plenty of years ahead of him, but do you see him ever blossoming into this sort of leadership role, or is he always going to be the sort of quiet kid in the corner, a bit timid, but does the talking with his football?
Yeah, I mean, it gives me trying to picture him with a captain's armband. It does give me very David Silva captain vibes. Like, not the type of captain that's going to be screaming at you and motivating everyone. It's just a lead by example type of go about his business, and everyone watch him basically and follow suit. But I think probably Haaland's above Foden in the pecking order. For that big contract. Yeah, and he's already in the leadership group. He is,
isn't he? I think did Pep point him in that himself? I think he said something along the lines of, obviously it went south last season with the captains and whatnot, but I think Guardiola maybe briefly said something along the lines of I wanted Haaland in there, so that probably says a lot about him.
Yeah, it definitely does. I vaguely remember that there might have been a game towards the end of the season where he was captain.
Yeah.
And Pep was kind of just like, well, he's going to be at some point, so we've got to get him used to it. So it might be the case that, I mean, I think Rodri still will be there, but it might be the case that Erling Haaland's captain, to be honest with you. I think, going back to Diaz, I don't mean to go back down the pitch, but I've not got Diaz in my team then. I don't think Diaz will be around.
At City at all?
Not then, no. Not then. I don't know how old he'll be.
He's 20. He is older than you might think in terms of age at the moment. He's 28, so he'll be 31.
Yeah,
I think he's in his. So there's talk at the moment, isn't there, that perhaps maybe he's getting an extension, but not a wage rise. There was some reporting surrounding that. His contract expires in June 2027. So I mean, if you don't get a new contract, then he is gone, isn't he? Yeah, but
I suppose that's
2 years away.
Yeah, I think that's why I didn't include him, because I think I was looking at the contracts. But there definitely is a world where 31-year-old Ruben Diaz isn't at City. Kusanov will be coming into his own then. If we had the likes of Mark Gahey or Branthwaite, there is an argument to say that there isn't room for him, depending on performances, of course. But it'd be interesting to see. What about like more attacking midfield areas then for you? Have you got? I imagine Phil Foden and
I'm gonna put my neck, and it's Stockport bias speaking completely, but I'm gonna go Phil Foden captain because I never thought it until. Weirdly, I think it was a video he did with Still Ryan where he was doing the fishing video.
And that was a great video,
Yeah, and it was like the first time that I've properly looked at him and been like, you know what, this sounds condescending. I don't mean it condescending at all. Fully as a compliment. Like he feels like he's growing into sort of his role and his lifestyle, and obviously he's got his family and his kids are young and they're sort of starting to grow up and stuff. So maybe we'll see. But I mean, if it's Rodri, it's Rodri. I don't think anyone's going to be complaining at that. Attacking midfield. I mean, I'm fingers crossed hoping Ryan Shirky's still here. I think the obviously the plan will be for him to still be here, and he'll still be young and he'll still be fresh. If it doesn't go well for Ryan Shirky, I won't be surprised if he's one of them that City look to flip. Obviously, the price wasn't the highest. I don't think he'll be on the biggest of wages. You'd expect there'll be still plenty of takers, even if it doesn't go well for him at City. But I've full faith that he will. He'll absolutely thrive. I've made a note next to the name of Morgan Gibbs-White. And I know that sounds
I've done the same.
A look at it. It looks like I'm doing the Rashford celebration there. Marcus Rashford will not be at City in 2028. But I can't see past him coming in as a Bernardo Silva replacement, and I think that makes so much more sense. Obviously, he's a. He's not necessarily. He didn't get bums off seats when he was linked to City early this summer with some people, but he's very versatile. I really rate him as a player. He'll still only be 26 next summer, so by this point, 28, 29, something like that. I just think he'd be great at City, and obviously with the homegrown quota and stuff like that. I mean, I can see him joining City next summer and still being there in 3 years' time.
Definitely, and the fact that now he's been forced to sign that contract by Man, held hostage. Blink
Allegedly.
if you're in trouble, Morgan. Blink. I think that that'll definitely put off the likes of Tottenham from going anywhere near it.
I think it put off Forest from selling to Tottenham anyway. There was that. I can't remember who reported it. It might have just been a ITK saying something like Forest are prepared to sell to City. So it feels like the bridges hasn't necessarily burnt now, whereas with Spurs it does.
No, yeah, and I can definitely see a world where we go back for him next summer, even with our current crop. I mean, obviously Bernardo, Gundogan, Kovacic all probably gone next summer, so there's definitely room for him. Obviously, Cherky and Foden can be, no disrespect to them, but can be like shipped out wide if need be. Like you say, Morgan Gibbs-White, very versatile, and I just think it'd make a lot of sense. It would have made a lot of sense this summer. I wasn't very enthused by it when the news first was. When the rumours were first.
I remember you said.
Yeah, when they were first bubbling, but it's weird. As soon as it kind of didn't happen, only then was I very much convinced that it is a good
what you could have won
for us. Yeah, literally. So, but yeah, hopefully all of them are still smashing it, like you say before. Reinders. One name I have written down, which obviously we're not to know what he's going to be like. Cavan Sullivan, the young American lad that we've got. So he, if I'm right in saying, he will be 19 then.
Yeah.
So he's nearly 16. He'll be 19 then. What's to say he'll be a little wild card. What's to say he's going to be coming off the bench at the end of every 10 minutes, like last 10 minutes of every game or something. So yeah, it'd be nice to see him. What the clips I have seen of him, he looks a lot of fun. So who knows? There's Naipan as well. Which
I was going to mention him. I mean, for me, any player who is sent out on loan, for me, in my mind, is like, right, you're never making it at City. But I think it's worth mentioning, probably going to be in the post-Guardiola era by now. That's kind of been a sort of a what's the word, a method that Guardiola's worked with. If you're good enough, you're in the squad and you'll train with the first team. If you're not, you're out on loan, and that's kind of, it takes a lot to sort of go out on loan and come back into the team. So I think Naipan definitely could be in with a chance, but at the same time, it'll be, he could go out on loan. He could be absolutely bobbins. Same with Claudio Echeverri. I've got a wild card name, not necessarily an under the radar name, but
Okay.
Cole Palmer. What's the percentage chance of that?
I mean, a lot can change in 3 years in football, let alone 1 year.
Here's my thinking. I don't think Chelsea are going to be this super team people are predicting. I thought they got a little bit lucky at the Club World Cup. They played a PSG team who were, by that point, exhausted, and previously Chelsea had played, let's face it, some of the weakest teams in the competition relative to the round they were in. I think he's obviously, he's got the ability to win a team a Champions League. We've seen him score in the Euros final, seen him score in the Club World Cup final, seen him score, and might have been man of the match in the Conference League final, something like that. So he's obviously a big game player. We know that. I don't know if Chelsea will be able to offer him what he wants long term, which could lead to a move.
Yeah, I completely agree with your logic there. Like, it makes a lot of sense. Like, it might get to the point where he outgrows Chelsea almost, and he's too big for them in a way. It's more, how affordable will the deal be? Don't get me wrong, I know City aren't we're not a poor club by any means, but combining what he's on at Chelsea in terms of contract length, how good he is, the fact that he's English, all of that, I can only think of like a truly like world breaking fee. And
Shouldn't they do what Tottenham did with Harry Kane, even though he was so much better than where he should have been at that point? Do you think they'll be like just keeping hold of him? Yeah,
I can definitely see that. Yeah, I just can't see. I can't see Cole Palmer playing abroad, and I could definitely see him being back in a City shirt. But when you think about an actual deal happening, like, I just can't. I feel like he's locked in there. I generally think that
his contract's like 2031 or something daft like that.
It'll be
he
daft,
signed one of them massive ones, yeah.
Hasn't he extended it as well since?
Yeah,
since he signed?
yeah.
So like
significant wage boost.
Unless their ownership changes, I think that's very unlikely. But yeah, it'd be great to see him back in a City shirt.
It was just one I had at the back of my mind. Any wingers? Any sort of, because City's wingers, obviously you mentioned Oscar Bob, you don't think is going to be here. I can see that being the case as well. Not because I don't think he's necessarily got the quality, but I just don't think people can underestimate how massive the year it was basically a year he didn't play last season when he was just getting into his stride. Is he going to get the opportunity this season to really make the impact that he should have done last year? I don't know, and I can see that maybe leading to a move. Doku and Savinho are interesting ones because they definitely have the potential to still be at City, but it feels like both of them will at some point really need to start producing to secure the spot.
100%. So one of them I've got leaving, or not in my squad, and that's Savinho. This is just pure vibes. This is no knowledge at all, but he gives me, I don't know whether it's because he's Brazilian, I don't know, but I just can't imagine him staying at City for a long time. I feel like he'll get twitchy and want to go to Madrid or PSG or something like that. Not because he doesn't do well a bit like Leroy Sané. Have a good few years and then want to move on. And I've got Doku sticking around because I think me and you've both said, maybe separately on different platforms and stuff, that Doku's in for a big year. Yeah, I truly do believe that. So I've got Doku locked in as my left winger. I mean, I would love to see him producing like Sterling numbers for the next 3 years. That would be amazing. And I've also, underneath, I've got a cheeky signing, which would be unbelievable. And to be fair, it'd be some battle who gets in the starting 11. Bradley Barcola from PSG.
Oh,
it's a bit of a dream signing. It's probably a bit unrealistic.
Yeah.
But we can't just have Doku there. Like I said before, Marmoush isn't going to be in the picture. Bring in Barcola. Why not? He's
Why not?
There's a very busy attacking front three at PSG, and a lot of the times he's the guy that's brought off the bench. Come to City, we'll put you in the 11 now and again, depending on how Doku's doing. Nice one. I'd love to see that. I don't know about you.
I agree. At the time when City signed Doku, I think it's no secret that Doku's taken a while to win me round, but I said something along the lines of City should be going after Barcola instead.
Yeah.
And I think I mentioned something actually about going after Barcola and Shirky. This is back in 2023, so look, maybe Hugo Viana's been looking back at my old tweets, I don't know, but I think that's certainly a possibility. Haaland's still here on that bumper contract, 2031 I think he signed it. No, even longer maybe.
34 I think.
Yeah. So he'd sort of still have 7 years or so left on that. I do wonder, back of my mind, I do wonder about a Real Madrid or, well, I think, to be fair, I think it will only be Real Madrid unless some massive super team comes along that is offering like £1 billion in transfer fees. I think Haaland would probably only leave City for Real Madrid, and I don't necessarily think it's a 0% chance of happening. I can't remember, was it reported that there was no release clause or something like that? It'd be interesting. I think by that point he'd have been at City for over 5 years, 6 seasons, probably even longer than that. So I mean, he's either really settled and he's going for the Premier League all-time goal scorer chart, he's going for City's all-time goal scorer record, or he's moved on and he's enjoying, the Spanish capital instead.
Well, you mentioned the records. I feel like, the Haaland we know and love right now, obviously a lot can change in a couple of years, be it injuries or falling out with whoever the next manager is, you don't know.
Yeah.
But I imagine Haaland's going to be very, very motivated to get as many records as he can to just lock himself down as the greatest Premier League striker. So there's no debate after that. And then do what you want, Haaland. You can move on then. Go spend a few years in Madrid. I don't mind that, but let's get them records first. And I genuinely feel that's how he'll be thinking as well. I don't know about what you think, but and we'll probably need a backup striker as well. If there's no Marmoush, I haven't got any names down, but I don't know if you've got anyone.
There's a lad from mind. Samu. He's called Samu. I can't.
Yeah, the Porto guy.
Yeah, he very almost moved to Chelsea last summer. I think he was on the books at Atletico Madrid at the time and instead went to Porto. And he finished second to Gyökeres in the goal-scoring charts in Portugal last season. 19 league goals in 30 appearances. He's only 21 years old. He could very much have a move this summer, let alone in a couple of years' time. But I feel like he's destined for a big club at some point.
You know a player I really, really love, and I don't know if their attitude's all there and their career's been a bit weird in the last 12 months, but John Duran.
Yeah.
I absolutely love. Like, what a striker. And he has got a similar gene to Haaland in the ruthlessness in front of goal. I'm just gonna beat you. I'm gonna beat you and whack it in that net, and I don't care. That's my job. And he's got that about him. Obviously, he's gone on his little side quest to Saudi, and now he's over at Fenerbahce. So we'll see where his career takes him. But if he ends up in a City shirt one day, I don't think I'll complain too much.
No, not at all. It'd be plenty of fun. I guess unless there's any other mentions, manager, because if we've still got Pep in 2028, I'm not complaining. But I don't think it's going to happen. So if there's any shouts to manager, what do you reckon?
So
who's leading this team? Who's taking us to Champions League glory with this team?
I've got two names. One's Cesc Fabregas.
Nice.
Because the way it's going in Como, I think maybe if he goes to like a Milan or a Juve or something, maybe wins a few Serie A's, I think definitely I'm down for that. That's what my head says, but my heart says Vincent Kompany all day long. That's what my heart says. Will that happen? I don't know.
Be interesting to see what timescale both, obviously Guardiola, whether he leaves at the end of this season, end of next season when his contract's up, whether or not he signs another, whatever. Like, does Vinny stay at Bayern in this world that you're thinking of, or does he go somewhere else and then come to City?
Well, that's the thing. Like, the way it's going at Bayern, and if he continues there, it's going to be such a comfortable environment for him to be in. You know, he's got there in his first year and he's won the Bundesliga. Like, he's not going to want to leave anytime soon, and he's going to probably feel there's a point to prove in the Champions League. And, you know, I don't know. Maybe his love for City would sway him, but a lot can happen in them few years. I mean, you know, we've got Guardiola and we've had him for however many years now. Normally managers now in the modern era don't stay at clubs that long. It's normally 3-4 years, maybe maximum. So, you know, maybe Vinny's moved on from Bayern by then. Maybe he's in a different job, you know. Maybe he's Belgian national team manager or something like that.
Yeah.
Who's to say? But I don't know if you've got any names, but they're mine.
I mean, the easy one is always Luis Enrique.
Yeah.
Obviously, he's had another come up as well, hasn't he? With obviously winning the Champions League last season with PSG. I'm trying to think off the top of my head.
There was a few shots for De Zerbi about a year ago.
Yeah. I think that was saying like Guardiola really rated him or something like that, and then obviously Pep never left and he went over to Marseille. I mean, he could very much have a really good time at Marseille, then get another semi-decent job and whatnot, and then obviously move along to City.
Yeah, of course. I mean, it would be fun, but yeah, I don't quite fancy having, like, you know, one defender back and everyone forward. bit too gung-ho for me, that. But yeah, no, I'm going to go Vinny Kompany. That's who I'm going to lock in.
Okay, I'll go. I like your Cesc Fabregas shout, you know. I really do. It feels like he could be the next Xabi Alonso, because that would have been my pick. Obviously.
Same, but it's not happening that now, is it? He's probably...
I mean, well, Real Madrid don't necessarily keep older managers too long, do they? So maybe.
True. I mean,
think the only other one
Pellegrini after Real Madrid as well, didn't we? So it won't be the first manager we've had after Real Madrid, I suppose.
Last one, Nagelsmann is the only other name.
I feel like with Nagelsmann, he's had a lot of big jobs. This might show my lack of German football knowledge, but he's had a lot of big jobs and not really impressed on the big stage. Don't get me wrong, he is young. Am I right in saying he's in his late 30s still? Like, I
think so, yeah.
Very, very infancy in his career, but the jobs he's had, I don't know. He's kind of similar vibes to Thomas Tuchel, not because he's German, just he's had a lot of big jobs and maybe not quite got some teams over the line.
Yeah.
But, yeah, a lot can happen in them 3 years. And, you know,
a lot is happening, apparently, according to us. Loads.
A lot's happening. A lot is happening.
I can't wait for Kovacic and Gundogan to still be knocking around, and
Gundogan might be manager. True.
I mean, I can't believe we didn't say that actually. That's not even the worst of shouts. Sweet. Any other predictions to put in the time capsule before we revisit this in 3 years? Sort of laughing at our predictions because they're so horrifically wrong.
It's going to be so wrong, isn't it? I'm going to say Kolo Touré will still be on the coaching staff.
Ooh, nice.
That's a little outside one for you.
Yeah, maybe Kolo's manager. Could you imagine?
Kolo and Yaya.
Yeah, love that. I don't know if anyone else would love it. I don't know if they would love it, because it would probably, you know, they'd probably be arguing constantly like brothers do. But yeah, that would be good to at least bring the chant back. Matt, that was plenty of fun. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, it was good fun. Good fun. Bit of pre-season fun before we get going. I'm looking forward to this season. Bring it on.
Likewise, I said it in a different video, excitement is my overwhelming feeling ahead of the new season. I'm being positive. I'm usually, you know, pessimist, doom and gloom. No, not this year. New season, new me. But yeah, plenty of fun. If you enjoyed it, make sure to hit the subscribe button, leave a like, and all of that lovely business. Until next time, we will see you later.